the Pentagon's UFO hunter. See what I did there? Okay, so there's a new interview that just came out with Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick, Steven Greenstreet of the New York Post fame. Steven's a bit of a provocateur, not for everybody, but this has got absolute nuggets in it, and I'm going to dissect it. So let's jump in.
You didn't know any of those people?
Not at the time.
Okay.
Not that I remember. I think I met all the people associated with this all at that time was probably around the first that I'd ever met them.
Okay, so he admits that he was at this unofficial 2018 Skinwalker Ranch briefing, but only on invitation and only as an independent, objective reviewer. Okay? But seriously, what was he even doing there? How can he say that he had no interest or duties regarding UFOs before 2022 if he's attending briefings in 2018 about one of the most famous UFO spots on planet Earth?
Now, first off, I just want to say that Steven's reporting style was very provocative, and I very rarely agree with his conclusions, but he does have reach. He has presence, and he is part of the conversation. And as much as people dislike him, he's a great storyteller, even if I don't agree with how he frames his story. So rather than blocking or ignoring, let's engage in constructive criticism. Now, first off, Kirkpatrick sets the scene here for the rest of the interview by considering this massively overlooked point that kind of sets doubt on the rest of the interview. Cue the Senate Armed Service Committee hearing, 19th of April, 2023.
Can I ask really quickly,
Sure.
do you have the authorities you need to extend your collection posture between agencies or branches of the military? Because that seems to me to maybe be a sticking point. I know my time's just about up. I'd love to follow up about your risk management methodologies for some of these, but do you need any authorities that you don't have to get the data?
There are some authorities that we need. We currently are operating under Title 10 authorities, but we have good relationships across the other agencies, but having additional authorities for collection, tasking, counterintelligence,
That's something.
those are all things that would be helpful, yes.
Thank you.
To follow up, Dr. Kirkpatrick, will you help us write that language so we can put it in the defense bill this year so that we know what authorities you need?
We can do that.
Thank you.
Now, here's Kirkpatrick on August the 30th, 2023.
Is it possible there is some secret program that you're just not aware of?
I don't think so. I have access to anything and everything I need.
Now, it's clear that he says here that he has access to everything that he needs, and there's nothing that he can't dig into. There's no accesses or titles that get in his way. He's got access to everything that he needs.
While preparing the AARO report, did you have access to everything you needed, including classified programs and top secret information?
Absolutely, yes.
Were you ever denied access to anything while preparing this report?
No.
Did you have Title 10 and Title 50 authorities?
Yes.
Okay, so there's some confusion as to when he received Title 50 entitlements. Now, it's either going to be December 2023, which is the fiscal NDAA 2024 passed into law, or he somehow got it before that. Either way, it's either August 2023 or it's December 2023. The important part here is he started in AARO early to mid 2022. So for almost a year, he didn't have suitable clearances to get that information, certainly not from some of the whistleblowers if it's top secret stuff. Now, even if he got it in August, fair enough. If he got it in December, bear in mind that he also retired in December 2023. And the AARO report, the historical report, volume 1, came out only a few weeks later in early 2024. Now, it's interesting here, isn't it? Because David Grush has taken a lot of flack for allegedly not cooperating with AARO, not coming in, not giving his information. And in fact, if Kirkpatrick didn't have Title 50 and only had Title 10 entitlements, clearances, then Grush is correct that he couldn't take that information. AARO wasn't suitable to receive that information. He wouldn't have been protected by disclosing it to them. So either way, whether it's August 2023 or December 2023 that he got Title 50 clearances, it's kind of leading towards Grush having a good argument for not disclosing some of the information that he had to people that didn't have or that didn't have the ability to receive that information. And as we can see here from the Black Vault via FOIA in the email with David Grush, November 13th, 2023, Grush is asking for assurances that they are cleared to receive the information, and he will be protected by disclosing it. And within the email, he even highlights the Title 10 issue. Lastly, what signed policy does AARO have to receive Title 10 SAPs, i.e. DOE and NSC? So SAPs refers to Special Access Programs, DOE refers to Department of Energy, and NSC refers to National Security Council. The signed policy would be a formal agreement of a directive of some form outlining procedures for granting access to non-Title 10 SAPs by AARO. Now remember, Kirkpatrick, on his multiple media roadshow appearances, wants you to believe that David Grush is being uncooperative, and that Kirkpatrick and AARO have access and clearances to everything they could ever need to receive David's testimony and evidence. Right, now we have that out of the way, that's cleared that up, clear as mud. Let's move on. Skinwalker Ranch.
Before AARO, did you have any interest at all in UFOs?
Not beyond the occasional movie.
Okay. Before AARO, did you perform any duties regarding UFOs or paranormal phenomena?
No.
Did you attend a 2018 Senate Armed Services Committee briefing on Skinwalker Ranch? I asked him this question because in a previous report of mine, I revealed that in 2018, Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, went to Washington, D.C., and gave a briefing to multiple Pentagon officials about the spooky stuff at the ranch. At the briefing were some of the members of this group. Fugel told me Kirkpatrick was not only there, but was leading the briefing about Skinwalker Ranch. Did you attend a 2018 Senate Armed Services Committee briefing on Skinwalker Ranch?
No, I attended a briefing at the request of the Senate Armed Services Committee on what was at that time associated with the ATIP, OTAP, and OSAP research that was going as an independent outside reviewer. And I gave them my opinions at that time.
Who invited you to that briefing?
It was one of the staffers.
Okay, one of the staffers on SASC. Got it. And you're saying that this was like an offset of OSAP, ATIP?
That's my understanding at the time, was it was a spin out of those programs.
In 2018. Wow. Okay.
So those programs were ended. The research by these independent people, because this was not an official government briefing. This was a briefing by people that were not associated with the government. So,
okay, so this briefing was not an official DoD Pentagon briefing.
Oh, absolutely not.
Now, I can't criticize Steven for this at all. We did a really good job at tripping Kirkpatrick up, set him up for it, and then dropped in the bomb. I had nothing to do with UFOs prior to 2022. So it was a presentation from Skinwalker Ranch with Brandon Fugel, who owns Skinwalker Ranch, and some of the people from ORSAP and ATIP. They were there. The slides related to Skinwalker Ranch, but nothing to do with UFOs and paranormal. That's what he'll have you believe. Interesting. So let's pause there for a second. At the moment, we're in a position where AARO and Kirkpatrick are basically saying this is a group of ghost hunters who are circular reporting, and essentially the only evidence they're giving you is trust me, bro. But when you look at it, that's all that AARO is doing, a trust me, bro. We've looked into these cases, we've reviewed them, and we're telling you that there's nothing to see here. Trust me, bro. There's no evidence that they've presented either. And taking that further, we've seen cases from AARO that don't seem to make sense, and they've missed out an awful lot as well from their report. Take, for example, the Eglin Air Force Base. Statements made on the Eglin Air Force Base case turned out to be untrue. Now, they've said that they didn't have a video, and then we later learned that they did have a video, but it's classified. Even though it's just a commercial light balloon, allegedly, it's still classified, as Lou Elizondo alludes to in this tweet that he put out. Okay, so next up, he takes a swipe at the UAP caucus. People like Anna Paulina Luna, Tim Burchett, Matt Gaetz, Jared Moskowitz, and Eric Burleson, to name a few.
Did any of the members of the so-called Congressional UAP caucus meet with you, talk with you at all?
No.
No?
Nope.
It seems kind of strange for a UAP caucus to not talk to the UAP guy.
You would think there are certain members of Congress that do not want to engage, I guess, did not engage, have not engaged, and they have not come to request anything at the time that I retired.
So it seems simple to me. Why would Congress want an unclassified briefing from Kirkpatrick or AARO? I don't think they would. I think they would want a classified SCIF briefing, which I think they've been asking for quite a while.
No, we were denied access to a SCIF so that we could receive some of that information.
Now, I know Stephen only had 30 minutes with Kirkpatrick, and I know what it's like when you're trying to interview somebody and you're on a time scale and you've got lots of questions and you want to move on to the next one. You're trying to figure out which question you should really dig into before you move on to the others without losing all the other questions and your time. So I do get it. I've interviewed over 50 people on my podcast, so I kind of understand it afterwards. You're thinking, oh, I wish I'd asked that question. But I would have liked him to have jumped into some of the more juicy stuff. For example, why didn't they include the USS Nimitz UAP encounter, the Tic Tac in the AARO report? Why didn't they include the Rendlesham incident, which was an incredible story from history with multiple American servicemen and women, or maybe the British Condign report, aka Project Condign, which had a vastly different take on UAP from the British? You'd think they'd cover that, considering how close allies we are to Five Eyes, the shared intelligence. And what about the Kingman incident? I mean, the Kingman incident, which recently resurfaced thanks to signal messages released by Chris Mellon. Or how Kirkpatrick is able to rationalize him being director wasn't a complete conflict of interest, considering his previous roles in the Department of Energy, the CIA, and being the apparent spokesperson even now as a consultant for AARO, as well as working at Oak Ridge Labs. Yes, the same Oak Ridge Labs, which has been a contractor for the CIA for years doing R&D dating back to the highly secretive Manhattan Project. Now we come on to what Kirkpatrick doesn't say. He wants you to believe that people like Lou Elizondo and David Grush are trust me bros, that they're presenting no evidence. Remember that. And he's the scientific doctor doing scientific data-driven research.
I don't know. No idea. Yeah, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't know who made those decisions. I was not part of and don't know anything about how they ran the task force. I was actually out in Colorado during all that.
Okay. But during your AARO historical report information?
I think the rest of that part of the review will come in volume 2.
Oh, really? So there's more on the task force coming in volume 2?
I don't know for certain.
You don't know because you didn't check, because you didn't have access to check, because you weren't provided the relevant titles or authorities, or because you didn't try to check, you didn't want to. Who knows? But what I do know is I didn't look. I wasn't there. I was in Colorado. This is not scientific. This is trust me, bro. So I'll leave you with this final Jerry Springer-esque thought that when you get to a position where neither side have evidence that they can present to you, then you have to go with your gut. Where is it taking you and who do you believe from these people involved in this? Now, I have reached out to Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick via email and I got an out of office reply from him saying that he's out on his travels. So we'll see. I'm going to ask him some questions and if he answers them, I'll come back to you. I'll ask him for an interview and if he accepts it, I'll definitely do that. I can't imagine that he will, but I'll certainly put the offer out there. Now, whilst this final clip doesn't have anything to do directly with UAP, it's about Havana syndrome, it's interesting to listen very carefully because there's a lot of crossover here between government secrecy, transparency, and national security.
Now we're shifting to something else, which is essentially a cover-up. What you all are saying is there's a government cover-up of the fact that something is out there afflicting, targeting us. Is this where we're going with this?
I've been working in the national security field for 30 years, representing some of our most covert intelligence officers, who I respect a great deal, and the agencies. The word cover-up, I will tell you that there are many legitimate reasons why there could be what the agencies are doing, to explain why they are doing it. What I will tell you is
would you
that
say,
the public
would you use a
statements...
cover-up as a statement or other words?
So cover-up would depend on intent. There could be good reasons to withhold information. I will say that the public statements that the executive branch is making is inconsistent with the classified record. And then it would be Congress's job as an oversight authority to determine why that is, whether it was a legitimate reason to mislead the public or because of some nefarious reason, or all the above. But the record on the inside in the classified theater is not consistent with the public statements.